Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Happy Friday, Dr. Andrea.
Hello.
How are you today?
You know what? I am resolving. So let's get this out of the way. Those of you who don't know me don't know that a week and a half ago, a drunk driver hit my house so hard, he knocked it off foundation. And so we still don't have adjusters' responses, and no, insurance doesn't take care of anything, and no, a driver doesn't necessarily take care of anything. And so we have been displaced into 4 different households, because that's what you do with a big house when you have to disperse it out. And despite all of that, we're going on as if nothing happened and being funny and laughing and making do.
Absolutely. And that shows your resilience. One of the things that I am grateful for is that no one was hurt in this incident.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to call it an incident, even though I'm not going to say it was an accident, because if he was not drinking, then it would have been an accident. But he was drinking, so it was an incident for me.
Yeah.
Even he didn't get hurt that much, right?
He didn't get hurt at all, except for when he opened up his bottle of Fireball while he was talking to me. He split his lip.
So he was still trying to drink some more.
He was still trying to drink some more. So I only hope that he gets help, and I want him to work so that maybe we can have some financial restitution.
There you go. There you go. All
So
right.
that is the founder's mindset. Keep going.
We do have a founder's mindset. We have 2 incredible founders coming on live with us. Here we go. We have Michael and we have Vinny. Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Friday.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How are you guys?
Exceptional, getting better every day.
Work in progress, Sifu. We're all work in progress.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I don't want to be the same guy I was yesterday.
No, we want to be just a little better, just a tick.
Just a tiny little bit.
So
talk to us about the founder's mindset, if you will. We started earlier a little bit, but who'd like to take that?
I'll go. If there any thanks, I'll go.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Appreciate being here. I've been a founder many times in my life, and I've worked with founders. And I think we think about founders these days as Sand Hill Road, Silicon Valley, and some of the other tech hibernation or areas of the country, and incubators, I meant to say. So, but really, a lot of the founders are the mom and pops, the ones on Main Street and on in the cities, and not necessarily on Wall Street. And so there's a particular mindset that I find in those founders, and that I had to have in myself. And it was one of belief, it was one of discipline, determination, and then support from the community, your family, the people who may be investing in you. So it's a really it goes deeper than just what we see on Wall Street and the road shows and an IPO.
Absolutely. Vinny, your thoughts?
Yeah, so for me, being a founder goes even beyond just creating something or trying to do something new, but it's about setting goals and having a purpose. Like when you are a founder of yourself, you don't necessarily need a brand new idea, but as long as you can follow a system that allows you to create something that it's not going to necessarily fulfill someone else's dream, but it's going to fulfill yours while you help other people fulfill their dreams. I think creating opportunities for others, that's how you are a founder.
Yeah.
Well, think about the founding fathers, right?
Right. Right. If you think about that, Sifu, then, and Andrea, you think that there's a couple of great shows. I don't know if anybody has a chance, but the History Channel has some great shows on the founding of America, also the men and the women and the companies that made America. And if you think about those people back then, those people had they had a great idea, right? And this is when Coca-Cola, Oreo cookies, soap from Procter and Gamble and so forth. It wasn't even invented yet, but they had a belief, they had an idea. So a lot of the times I see it starts with a great idea, right? And I think in this day and age, the ideas are more difficult to come by. And I don't have there's no exact data on that, but if you think about what happens today, especially as a founder. So I was a founder of restaurants and retail and so forth. So what gave me the idea that I could be better than someone else, or I could do a better job than the retailer or the restaurant down the street from me? So the idea was, what's the idea, and how now that I have the idea, where do I take it? What's the belief in the idea, and what's my mindset that gets me to the next level? So I think about that all the time, and like you said, is think about the founding fathers. They had no clue 250 years later what was going to be as of today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Michael, about like the idea, right? Because I feel sometimes we get so caught up on having an idea, but everyone has ideas,
right?
Like an idea is just something that goes by. It's a thought, but you were talking about the founding fathers, who exactly went ahead and did something, right? So being a founder is about taking action and really following through on whatever ideas you have, whatever system you want to follow.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, think about what they had to go through, the founding fathers. When they signed the Declaration, they were signing away their life. Now, many founders today don't sign away their life. They're actually thinking of prosperity and all of these different things. But back then, signing that declaration meant that they can get killed. Their heads would be on a platter, if you will. And it was a big deal to actually go forward with something they truly believed. And I'm so grateful they did. Listen, I was not born in this country, but I am probably the most American guy you'll come across, right? Because I came to this country when I was 8 years old. And not knowing the language, not knowing anything, I adapted.
Yeah.
I learned the language. I understood the systems. Now, don't get me wrong, like every country, the systems don't always help. Sometimes they hurt, right? The schooling system is so broken at the moment that something has to be done, but people don't want to fix it. So there has to be someone out there who's ready to step up. And it's not just me or you. It's got to be somebody in political power who says we need to change what's going on. There was a gentleman recently I was listening to, and he goes, if you go to college, by the time you graduate, everything you learned, year one, if you go to 4-degree college, year one is obsolete.
Yeah.
You wasted that year.
Yeah.
Because it's not moving along, right? So we have to consider, how do we engage the world so that education is current and not, don't get me wrong, there's nothing worth studying the past. It's worth studying it, but we also have to continue living in the present.
That's right. Yeah, Sifu, what you said about when your own journey and the founding fathers, when I think about founders, it's about sacrificing. What you said, they were sacrificing their lives for the morals and for what they believed in. And I know it's coming all the way over here, but founders sacrifice. We sacrifice a lot in bringing our ideas and our businesses to fruition, to grand opening, if you will. So I've seen that. I've seen that again in my own life. And also, I want to just mention something. My grandfather, and this plays into what you just said, Sifu. My grandfather came to this country, turn of the century, 1900s, and he came as an immigrant, not speaking the language, and he was a founder. He was the first founder I ever knew. He came in and he came to the city that he landed in. He went through Los Angeles, ended up in Massachusetts, and then he ended up making a convenience store. And when I was a kid, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I would work in that convenience store on the weekends and school vacations and things. And that was my first indoctrination into what it was like to be a founder. And he was there. He had a belief, he had a purpose, but he was also there. It was about his life and how he was going to provide for his family and bring his other family members over. And so I think of the first thing is sacrifice, as the founding fathers and as my grandfather, as you did, coming over and making a difference and making a change in this country. So I think about sacrifice a lot as it relates to that.
I'd like to address that. When I'm very patriotic in some regards, and other ones I realize, maybe I should be more patriotic in other areas. It's funny how when you look back through history, like what we get caught up in our innovative functional lives now and forget about what people have sacrificed and done over these years. And one of the things I do know or have witnessed, over my lifespan and have heard about the lifespan before mine, since our founding fathers, is they did sacrifice so that they let go of comforts for what they were living in the now to provide for generations future. And one of the things for my business that I became cognizant of a couple of years ago is that I did the same thing. I was sacrificing. I was giving up time with my children and doing all these other things. But then when I had grandchildren, I realized, wait a minute, I'm guiding, I was guiding people to be like me, sacrifice everything. And then I realized, how can they say that they have wealth and legacy unless they're living in it now? So yes, we still put things aside, but there are some things I think we need to not put aside because we're teaching future generations to not self-care, to, not take care of themselves while they're still sacrificing and moving forward, to be more discriminate about what it is that you're giving up so that you are a better role model for all things, for family and function and money, all the things.
Yeah. I like that we are bringing the founding father concept into this, because it resonates a lot with me because I'm also an immigrant. Similar, I live in Canada and I was not raised here. I moved to Canada when I was 24, and a lot of people ask me, they still ask me, well, Vinny, don't you miss your old days? I didn't see my family for 5 years until they had the opportunity to come and visit me. But it was I wanted to build something big for myself. And like you were saying, Andrea, it takes sacrifice. Making a decision means you're going to part with other things, but that's what's going to allow us to grow past our comfort zones, right? And that's the mindset that it's important for us to bring to our families, to our businesses, and spread to other people.
Without a doubt, and it's important to understand that a founder does not go on the same journey as another founder. Everybody has their own journey they go through. For example, when I think back at my parents, I'm number 10 of 12, right? So imagine my younger brother and my younger sister were born in the US. Now, my parents took all of us kids and dispersed us amongst families so they can come here, establish, if you want, plant the flag in the United States, right? And they were back and forth. And it was very funny because I would say in this eye, I cry for my mom, and in this eye, I cry for my dad when I'm missing them because I don't
Oh,
see them.
yeah.
They're in another country. So I was 8 years old when I came, but my parents put me somewhere to live with my sister at 2.5.
Wow.
So I only saw my parents maybe once or twice that they came to visit, and it was really incredible. And so yeah, I cried for one eye for my mom, the other eye for my dad, but the sacrifice that they went through to
Right.
disperse their children so they can plant the flag, come here, work, do things. My dad was a principal of a school. He gave all that up
Wow.
and came here. And my mom was a teacher. She gave that up and came here. And at one time she was working at a factory. Another time my dad, he decided he was going to do this, do that, do this. Eventually he owns hair salons.
Oh, wow.
Now, when he was a young man, did he ever think he would own the hair salons? No. So he learned how to cut hair and he opened up a few. But the whole thing is the sacrifice every founder makes is real. And I've never known a founder who hasn't made a sacrifice in order to achieve something that they thought, but they put into action, like Vinny, like you talked about.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I think also when I think of the sacrifice, I think in tandem what goes with that is the why, right? So when we're working with our clients, right, we talk about what's the why. So they have the sacrifice, but also they want to. I want to dig into that. I want, like, why? What's the purpose? What's the mission of the founder, right? And now for our ancestors, their mission was make their lives better for their family. Sifu, your family, you come and plant the flag. My grandfather comes over and says, I'm going to bring my family over from the Middle East, and I'm going to help them, have a life in America, right? So his why was pretty clear, and I'm going to help my family. Same for your family. Your why was very clear, and then cutting hair when he doesn't expect to cut hair. That's I'm sure he didn't think that was his purpose, but he did it because it was the right thing to do at that time, and then it became what he did and how he provided for his family. So, it's great to be a founder, it really is. And not everybody can be. There are successful founders and there are not so successful founders. And so as we as business leaders we try and help those people decide which one of those they're going to be. And so it's important to me to know why why they're a founder, not just, hey, I want to open up XYZ. I want to start this company. I want to know why. Anybody else like that? Anybody else want to know why?
Mm-hmm.
So,
certainly.
I find that what you guys said really go hand in hand. Like it makes me think that our why sometimes it's the very thing that we need to temporarily sacrifice to achieve it consistently. Like because Sifu was mentioning about his parents, for instance. Like his parents basically sacrificed time with their family, their children, the people who they loved the most, so that they could provide a better life for them, right? So that was their why, having a happy and good family, but they couldn't spend time with them. And I think about my own father when Sifu was talking about his story. I thought about my father because my dad helped me a lot for me to go through my immigration process. And I'm his only son. So he was basically giving up his only son and letting go of his only son so that his son could have a better life. And I'm very grateful about that. And that's sometimes what I think we need to understand, that giving up our immediate pleasure so that we can found something that is going to be great for generations. So like our freedom that we give up on in the present so that we can achieve it, and if that is our why as a founder.
Well, I certainly have a new why. So this last year I had stepped into semi-retirement and only wanted to do a few things and focus on those few things, but really spend more time with family and my husband and life. And now that our family homestead, this is the only part of the house that doesn't look destroyed. The rest of it looks, walls are caving in. I mean, it's just crazy. And so I was like, oh, I have to come back in with full vengeance here, because I had wanted to be able to leave wealth and legacy. I mean, we sacrificed at the beginning. Our kids, I remember having a conversation the last 10 years, and they're like, we grew up so poor, and like, and I didn't think they were poor, but to them they were poor, because there were things that we didn't do, because we wanted to have more assets. So we wanted to purchase real estate. We wanted to have, opportunities for them for later in their life, so they could do without little things. They had, to me, they had great wealth, but as a kid, you see things differently, and we did hold back on a lot of things, things that other people may have been doing in their lives. But now my focus is I want to restore the family homestead, so that the house is here and there's either a new house or this one's rebuilt. And then I realize now, how many people is this happening to? By the way, we found out we were the 7th house in 2 weeks to be hit by an automobile. Automobiles do not cover property insurance. Your own insurance has to cover it. And most people, like us, were underinsured. We thought we were good. We are not. It's crazy. Crazy.
So that gives me a thought that not only do I have to get auto insurance for my house, I have to get airplane insurance, helicopter insurance, big balloon insurance, somebody paratrooping through my roof.
Yeah.
So I have to get the big umbrella.
Yeah.
Cover every earthquake, hurricane, everything.
You need insurance Iron Dome, Sifu. You need the insurance Iron Dome. That's what you need.
And most people think that, they'll replacement value is not the same. And I've been hearing horror stories. Like, we have some heirlooms here. I haven't had mine confirm this. Hopefully they're not this way. But I have had other people's insurance companies insist that they have receipts for something that was gifted and went down family lines from the 1800s. Who has the receipt? Like, it's, and then you have to prove that it was worth something, and you have to prove that it was it is so much mental bandwidth for a thing like this. So seriously, relook at your insurance policy and ask the questions. If my house was knocked off access today, if it was burned to the ground, how much money do I have to work with, and how much money do I have to live on? And you might be surprised that you do not have enough.
Yeah. That's why I think like on Sifu was saying, umbrellas and redundant policies aren't a bad idea if you can get them at a great rate, because they'll cover certain things that other ones won't, and so forth, and maybe you get more coverage that way. I don't know.
Oh, there's another point to this. We have 2 businesses that did operate out of this house, and that does not cover any of our business equipment, any of our business whatever.
Wow.
So then we have separate policies. So now you got to think. Now your brain goes, because you got to split. And then I own multiple LLCs. So does my husband. So now we have to figure them all out. So these are things that people don't think of always. So as a founder, you have to think bigger scope of, and be proactive in having a backup plan should things happen. And luckily we had a lot of things in place so that we can still be operational, and we have a huge support system. And I think that's the number one thing I can tell people for being a founder is find your support system. And they may not always be your family or your immediate friends. They may not always believe and say, just go get a job.
That one of the things I ask founders, frankly, is what's going to keep you moving when things get difficult, right? So you just answered the question, Andrew. What's going to keep you? You just got to keep moving. Sometimes you have a mission. The mission is to restore your household, restore your businesses, and make it meaningful for the future. And then all the impact on that will be your business will be restored, your family will be helped. You'll have your family home back to where it needs to be, and then you'll have your legacy that you wanted. But so when things get difficult, I'm sure we've all been in this situation, whether it's business or personal.
Mhm.
But when things get difficult, what keeps you moving? What keeps you focused? And what brings you back to your why, right? It's not always easy to do. Not always easy.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important what you said earlier, Michael. Always being connected to your why. I think that's what's going to keep you moving in difficult times. Like some of the people that I train in my business, I always ask them to write down their three main whys, and I keep them in my drawer in my office so that when there will be times when they're going to come crying in my office and saying things are not working, that maybe they want to quit, and I try to remind them of their why. And I've been in that situation too. My mentor had to do that with me, and I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, that's what I'm fighting for, and that's what pulls you back up.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you guys find sometimes that people have a speculation of what they think their why is, and yet they're not moving or taking action? But when their why is so deep, like would literally physically and mentally, emotionally hurt so bad to not happen, that they cannot not take action.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. It
I
moves them forward.
Absolutely. I think founders have to also work on a contingency plan,
That's right.
because for anybody, if you're starting something new, you have to start to consider, if this happens, we have to take this action. So contingency plans usually come after the fact. And if we start as a founder, we should start looking at all the possibilities of what could go right, what could go wrong, and how to handle either one. Because if things go right and you get bombarded, it means you didn't plan on having enough staff. And if things go wrong and all of a sudden there's crickets as clients, you got to feed the crickets, right? So think about that.
It's true. Adaptability, Sifu, is obviously very important in what you're talking about. That's the adaptability of the plan, adaptability of the business. Personal story is, when I was running restaurants in Massachusetts, and we would always have to be adaptable to the weather in the wintertime, for instance. So it might be, everybody knows that busy days in restaurants are Fridays and Saturdays, and everybody gears up for living for the weekend, right? Working for the weekend, like the song says. And but if there was a storm coming in, we would have to have two plans. We'd have to have a staff plan. We'd have to have a seating plan. We'd have to have purchasing plans for fresh foods and so forth that we're planning to have that weekend. So that's a business that's already in process, but still has to have that adaptability and have the resilience to be able to work around those times, right? I think that's what you're referencing, Sifu.
Absolutely.
In thinking about this, let's see what I was thinking. I was thinking about risk and uncertainty, being okay with change. Some people just are not okay with any change, and I have found that I'm actually almost one of the reasons I had kind of stepped into semi-retirement was because I realized that I was almost addicted to change. I needed to have that rush of change and moving and traveling and going, and didn't know how to be present in my own life. So that was one of the reasons I had pulled back, because being still was not something I was comfortable with. I was always in action. What do you guys think about that?
Well, when you say about risk, Andrea, so I think I look at it in a couple of different ways. Sometimes change for just the sake of change is not good, right? And change for growth, change for development, change for getting to a better place, if you will, is maybe different than, and that's what you're talking about, but maybe different for some people who just want change for the sake of change, but it doesn't get them any closer to the goal. It doesn't get them any closer to their purpose, their why. So a lot of times, as leaders, we channel that need for change, hopefully into the right direction, so they have their own growth, and the growth of them personally, and then the growth of the business. And so that's why that's one part of risk is part of change, right? Sometimes you have to take the risk, make the change, and then move forward. So I was thinking about that as you were speaking about that. And then the other part of risk that we can talk about as a group is that, when founders, we take on a lot of risk all the time. And at the end of the day, those are the things that, people ask, what keeps you up at night? Well, my name's on the door, and I got X amount of bank loans, and I've got all these things that I put my life on the line for. So that's what might keep me up at night. So the other part of what founders have to work with is they also have to understand not only the why, but they also have to understand the purpose, and then they have to have the planning in place, and then they've got to get their financial house in order, because a lot of founders might have all the things that they need, but they don't have their financial house in order, and then there's a bigger risk, because then they risk losing everything if they don't have that. So I like to talk about that in many ways with founders, because they have the great idea, they might be phenomenal at what they do, but they don't have the financial mind to be able to handle the risk. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does. I feel like it's this risk handling. Like we need and founders need to understand what kind of motivation they need. Like there is the analogy of like the carrot and the stick, right? And I think like both of them work, but it really depends on the person, on what is going to get them to move forward. Because like if the stick is too heavy, like that might make someone quit. Or if there isn't enough carrots, so then someone's not going to be motivated to keep going. So one thing that, at least in my journey as a founder, really helped me was surrounding myself with people who thought a little bit differently, but still held the same values. Because me as a founder, like I have a background in engineering, so I'm a person who is way more analytical and systematic, and my natural being is a bit more resistant to change. But having mentors who have gone through the process of change, who are more accustomed to it, like they push me forward, and they know my hot buttons on when is it that Vinny needs a stick, when is it that Vinny needs a carrot to initiate change. So having people around you that are aligned with your values is incredible.
Yeah.
I just had a visualization when you were talking about that, and I'd never thought about this before, but as a founder, we're the ones who carry the stick and the carrot for ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how sometimes you lay it down, sometimes you're ahead of it, sometimes you're behind it, sometimes you give it to someone else, and I never thought about that. Like, I need to draw up a cartoon now of founders carrying their own stick and carrots.
The apparatus on the top of your head that has the stick, a carrot on the end of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the rabbit at the dog track, just keeps going around, And then, what you said, Vinny, is that, so the team thing is important. I agree with you 100% on that. And, that's why, so we all have our expertise on a call. I'm a business coach and strategist, right? So, coaching is different from consulting, it's different from mentorship, it's different. So having the team around you that has a little bit of everything. Coaches are good with what's happening right now, right? Consultants might be good. They get in, they take a look at everything, they give you a system, and then they say goodbye. The coach has a longer journey with the founder to continuously, like you're saying, have the carrot and the stick, but make it a good, make it a nice carrot, make it a carrot they can reach all the time. Because if you have, a carrot that's too far out, you will get weary, you get tired. But it's when you catch that carrot every time, me as a founder, when I caught the carrot, it gave me power. It gave me growth. It gave me the determination to go ahead and believe more about myself, to believe deeper in myself, because I had that achievement, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that us as leaders, we have to recognize that in people, whether it's founders or the people that are working around the founders, we have to recognize that we want to catch them doing something good. We want to reward that, and then have them grow as well with us. and that makes our team stronger and makes us better as founders, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to be thinking about that carrot and the stick all day, Vinny. I'm going to be talking about that.
That's amazing.
I got to say that, Dr. Andrew, when you're talking about how founders sometimes maybe don't consider change, I think to be a founder, you have to understand change, because without change, how are you going to change somebody else's mind to come and be part of your organization or your endeavors or anything? So when we consider change, you can't get into the stock market without understanding change. Because if you're not watching the market, right, things are going to go sideways for you. Same thing when you open a brick and mortar store. You can't just, say, oh, this is what I do. I put a phone, I put my sign, and I wait. That's never going to. So that's the change you have to get out of and say, it's not just the sign. It's not just the website. It's about me actively getting the clients. And a lot of times you have to incorporate other people to come into the business to help you get the clients. Because without no clients, you founded an empty building.
Yeah.
I'm giggling at myself right now because I usually have a jar of change right here, and people have helped us pack, and I don't know where that is now. But one of the things, I'm an executive advisor, so when I'm working, it ends up also being a personal confidant when I'm working with these other CEOs and founders as well. But when I talk about change, I usually have change in my hand and say, really, you hate change? You have a problem with this, and I'm like, how much money do you think is in this jar? This is change. And then when, they find, because it doesn't look like a lot, but a small vial of change could be, $25. It looks, when you look at it, you're like, I don't know, $5, and then you realize, oh my gosh, that's like 30, $50 in this glass jar or whatever. And then all of a sudden people see change differently when they can see the monetary value of what it can create for them. And not just wealth is money either. Wealth is, time with family and support systems and doing the things that they want to do and their own mental breaks. So thank you.
You brought this up, and I have to talk about it.
Please.
Change.
No, but there's not any change. This is no longer going to be available.
Yep.
They're getting rid of the pennies. They're not making anymore. And what happens is when you go to the store, let's say it's $10.98. They don't give you two. If you give them a 20, they don't give you the 2 cents back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Where's my 2 cents? And they're like, oh, you'll get it next time. I'm like, are you going to remember that? Are you going to remember that? Because that's my 2 cents, right? And sometimes I do want to give them my 2 cents because it's wrong, right? But if I shorten them 2 cents, they're not going to be happy about it.
Right.
So if they say it's, $11.08, but I only have 6 cents, I go, I only have 6. Then I'm going to go, it's okay. See, it's going to work better in their favor. So I say, hey, listen, you give me 5 cents back. And it's not the pennies I'm fighting for. It's the concept of why should you short me, but I can't short you.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're going to do this game, stop putting everything at a penny's worth and make it rounded up to it's $10.95. It's $11. Right. So think about the founding fathers. This is something they never thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever said we're going to make pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, they didn't say we're going to make 35 cents in a coin. We're going to 45 cents because that we would have had like so many coins just to make up $1, right? We have a 98-cent coin. That doesn't work. But it did work. And eventually, from what I'm hearing, we're not even going to have any physical currency. It's all going to be digital. So as a founding person, as a founder of a company, how do you even dive into that I'm not going to have currency. Everything is digital. But the problem I see with digital is that somebody can steal it easier. Oh, you can put all the securities and all that stuff, but look what's happened already. Look how many times the banks have said, oops, or even it happened to Google. Remember, they had a shutdown. It happened to Microsoft. It happened to everybody. And so when we are thinking of currency as digital, I think we have a long way to go before we can actually do that.
I'm laughing at two things. So all right, on the 2 cents, an average Walmart has between 5 and 10,000 customers a day. If they did an average of 2 cents per customer, that's $100 a day, which is not horrible. Let's say they only have 5,000 customers a day that they do the change rounding to. And that way it'll buffer for the bigger stores that have like 25 or 30,000 a day. That's over $36,000 a year of somebody's 2 cents. That gives me a lot more to have to say than 2 cents.
It's like a bank float. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, even currency now, a penny is only a penny because we say it's a penny. A piece of paper, a $100 bill and a dollar bill, at their weight of what they are just a piece of paper with security codes on them. And that's when I married my husband, he had some silver or whatever. I think we've since done something with that. I think he exchanged that out. But I'm like, he still had like, and I meet other people all the time who have silver and gold. They have gold bars and they have silver bars because they want to have something substantiated. Because if we look there, you got good.
I have a gold bar.
Yeah, I love it.
That's amazing.
If our electrical grid goes down tomorrow, none of us are getting to touch anything in the bank.
Yeah.
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. Listen, I got to go back and I got to tell you a funny story. I got to do it because it's funny to me. I hope it's funny to everybody. So back in the day, before the computer registers, there were the NCR registers, and you would, if you had 10 cents, 15 cents, whatever it was, you had to hit 2 keys and make 15 cents. But the sound it made was great. You go cha-ching, cha-ching, and that's probably, I'm sure that's where we get that from today when some money comes in or whatever, we say cha-ching. Even one of the cash apps has that as their sound, as their notification. So it's the early 80s, and we're in retail, and my mentor, business partner, I said to him, I said, listen, we're going to get these things called, we're going to get electronic registers. It's an NCR product. Don't worry. It's going to be great. And we're going to test it. And it's going to be great. It's going to revolutionize our business. We're going to be fantastic. So we buy one, we get one in, and the guy comes to install it, and he's testing it out. And he says, guys, what do you think? What do you think? I said, oh, that's fantastic. So my mentor, Aaron, he says, I don't like it so much. He says, well, what's not to like? He says, well, with the NCRs, at least I could hear myself making money. These things I can't hear, right? So they weren't going cha-ching. It was just, so that's my little funny story about those days. But to your point, with all the electronic trading and all the other things that's going on in the markets, right now things may sound maybe in some cases stable, but when we get to quantitative AI, it's going to figure out Bitcoin. It's going to figure out those codes, and it could be a big problem. So we got to stay way ahead of all this, right? Because if not, if we go to a total electronic system of monetary policies, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a big learning curve, and a lot of people are going to get hurt, I think.
Yeah, tracking really scares me when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, guys? It's that time again. Time flies when you're having fun. Can you believe it?
Can we put some more coins in the meter, Sifu? Maybe just put a couple more coins, and we'll keep going. No,
I'll just take a credit card.
Okay, I got a couple back here.
System shutdown.
So what we'll do at this point is, who'd like to go first? Just tell us a little bit about what somebody can expect when they connect with you. So why don't you go ahead, Michael? Your 45 seconds, buddy.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, and such a pleasure to be here. I want to thank you all for being so entertaining and knowledgeable, and just being you. So thank you. So my company is MJR Business Advisors, and I've been a lifelong entrepreneur and business leader. And these days, I enjoy working with small to medium-sized businesses when they're looking for growth, profitability in their businesses. They need systems and operations to get them to another level. Those are the people I like to work with. None of them just are founders, and they're small business people. They're working in startups, or they're working just, how am I going to get that next $500,000? How am I going to get that next $1 million possibly? And I like to help them do that. It gives me pride. Most of all, it makes me happy because I enjoy paying that forward. So thanks for having me here. I enjoyed it so much, and I hope you all have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Vinny, you're up, my friend.
All right, let's go. 45 seconds. So first of all, Andrea, Sifu, this was incredible. I really appreciate the invitation. Michael, it was great to also meet you and have you in the conversation. Great conversation. And I am a people builder. I am looking for people who, if they come and talk to me, we are going to have a great conversation on how to achieve your goals, how to use education and finances as an engine for people to build their future. And I'm on the lookout for people who have this entrepreneurial mindset and who want to develop it. So I would love to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Dr. Andrea, you're up.
Yeah, so I get the luxury of working with elite people who need a confidant, want to work with someone who's worked with everyone from startups to multimillionaires to billionaires, who gets them and has their back. And that's what I do with neuroscience, publicity, and executive advising. And it allows me to show them how to live their life and live the legacy that they want to leave behind.
Love it, love it. Make sure you connect with everybody. And I am Sifu Rafael. I wanted to share with you this thing here. We are doing a live event, virtually live, August 21st. Take a look, and it's pretty easy to join us, right? So it's a virtual event, and we would love for you to be with us. I'm going to try to add it here. There it is. Save it. I'm going to add it. It's here somewhere. There it is. So join us August 21st, right?
Nice.
And it's from 8:30 to 3:30. It's a full day, 7 hours with a bunch of incredible human beings. All we're going to talk about is leadership. And pretty easy to find us, to find me. I'm Sifu Rafael. Can't get easier than that. My website is easy, sifurafael.com. I love helping people. My mission in life is to help. So how can I help you? Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Thank you, everybody. Have an exceptional rest of your day. Thank you again. You guys stay in the background for a minute, and everybody, God bless.
Thanks, everybody.